All right, hello and good afternoon, everyone. How is Caravan going? Everybody having a good time? And hey, before we get started, let's kind of give a round of applause and some cheering for the museum staff. Can you believe how well organized this thing is? How great everything has going? So thank you so much to the National Corvette Museum staff and everybody. I really appreciate it. I know that I've been in and out a bunch, but this is so well organized and it looks like everybody's having such a good time, and this presentation will be no different. So my name is Theriault and I am the plant director from the Corvette plant across the street. I have the pleasure of building dreams every day. And I have to tell you that for some of you that have been at presentations like this before, we've certainly showed, hey, here's how the paint shop works. We've said, hey, here's how you make an E-ray. Here's how you launch a vehicle. Well, today, you are going to get a behind-the-scenes taste of what it really takes to build dreams, and that's the people of Bowling Green Assembly. So let's give them that's right. I get the pleasure of not only building dreams, but working with the most amazing team in, I'm going to say, any industry, not just the automotive industry. So I am very grateful to work with these folks, and the 5 folks that are up here with me today, they're going to give you a flavor of what it is like to work in the Corvette plant and how they got there, all right? So I think you'll really enjoy it. So with me here today, we have Ricky Croghan. Ricky Croghan is a shift leader in General Assembly. Yeah, and we're kind of going to go from me to the far side there. And we'll introduce everybody a little bit more after this quick introduction. Lynn Herron is the HR, Human Resources and Labor Relations Director. Lynn. Then on the far side, we have Laura Escobar, who is our paint launch manager. Courtney Gray, who is the material flow coordinator. So let me tell you that all the customization you all want, right? Like, she's the one that takes care of all of that and all those part numbers. And then we have Brian Lee. Brian Lee is the Quality Operations Manager. So let's give them a round of applause as we start here. And the way this is going to work is we're going to go through introductions, and each of the panelists will talk about themselves, and maybe I'll have something to say because that's what I tend to do. And then at the end, you'll have a chance, Gary's laughing at me right from the front row. And then at the end, you'll have a chance to ask questions as well. And you can ask questions about whatever you want, like who wants to know the pricing on the ZR1? Anybody? Okay, here's the thing. We're not going to tell you that, right? We're not going to tell you anything in the future, right? So when you're thinking about what questions you want to ask, think about questions that exist in product today or the plant today that we're actually going to answer, because we all know it's more fun when we keep the secret and reveal it at the right time, right? So we're happy to take questions, think of them as we go through, and then at the end you'll have that chance to ask questions. So with that, Ricky Croghan.
All right, thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. So it is an honor for me to be here today to get to share some personal facts about me along with my career. But I do have to tell y'all, I'm kind of worried about it. Because, I don't know if you know this or not, but in 2023, the Chevrolet Corvette was sponsored by Farm Bureau and won coolest thing made in Kentucky. How about a round of applause for the Corvette? Yeah, so Ray asked me to be on a panel very similar to this, sponsored by Farm Bureau.
It was their board of directors, Ricky.
Oh yeah,
their
board of directors from Farm Bureau. So, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I'll show y'all how it kind of went. The introductions. Yeah, I'm Ray, plant manager. I'm Saskia, area manager. Chuck Valentini, plant manager. I said, hey, I'm Jake from State Farm. Yeah. So I was really worried about if I was ever going to get to do it again. But anyway, some personal fun facts about me. Been married to my high school sweetheart for 36 years, Miss Angela. I got 2 wonderful children, Brandon and Laura Brooke. U.S. Navy veteran. Desert Storm veteran. I was on the USS Nevada SSBN 733 Go crew. And also, if you're a Navy person, Golden Shellback, if you know, you know. All right, a couple of hobbies about me. I really enjoy farming. You can see there's a picture of my farm right there that was taken on the 4th of July. Cattle, that's my favorite cow right there. I love her, she loves me. And then, also enjoy going down to the lake. But that far picture up there on the left-hand corner, it was always a lifelong dream for me to meet Jeff Gordon, right? So not only did I get to meet Jeff, Jeff got to ride with me in my Z06. When we left the museum here, Jeff was the driver. So most of you probably know Chuck, but when we left, needless to say, Jeff is a professional race car driver for a reason. And when we got back, Chuck was like, hey, what was that at the museum? I go, hey, I was the passenger. Career highlights for me. I was a body shop zone group leader down in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Later moved on to stamping shift leader there. 2017, I transferred up to Bowling Green, where I filled the paint shift leader position. And currently, I am the General Assembly shift leader. So everybody wonders, well, what does a GA shift leader do all day? Well, a lot of things, but three main big buckets, right? I'm responsible for safety, quality, and production. One, safety for the employees of our plant. Two, safety for vehicle safety, making sure that we build the car the way that we're supposed to. Quality. So when you roll into quality, right, we treat each one of your cars just like it was our own. Even when you order those crazy colors. Who puts a yellow seat belt in a blue car with red stitching, right? So building your car is not only challenging, but also, very rewarding for us. And when you talk about quality, right? So, we make sure that every bolt is torqued down, every fastener is fastened, so that way when you're out there cruising at 190, you're good. Or when you're cruising down the interstate and you see that Porsche 911 up there and you pass them just because you can, right? Yeah, so, there's over 2,900 different parts that we assemble in each Corvette when it goes through the assembly process. So you're going to hear from my friend Brian down there at the end that he's like, hey, Ricky, did you get all 2,900 in there? Yeah, so, there's a lot that goes into every build of every car. This picture here is my second shift team, all 225 of them. Unfortunately, they all can't be here today, but make sure that you know that every single one of them touched your car. Let's see, next slide. So for me, the most favorite thing about working at Bowling Green is 3 generations, right? So this is my dad. He started in 1981 when we transferred from St. Louis, right? My older brother started in the early 90s when we had second shift XLR. Myself, I transferred up in 2017, and then my son currently works here who started in 2014. So for us, building Corvettes is a family affair. Thank y'all.
So Ricky.
Yes.
And you go ahead and have a seat.
Oh, okay.
So everybody probably got the sense from the State Farm story that you have a version of reality, right?
Yeah.
But we have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Maybe some other folks have some words to say about what they think of you at work. So here's the screen. Oh, we need audio. Hang on just a second.
I like it.
We'll get it here in a second.
You did great.
All right, so while we're waiting, I'm going to tell a dad joke. You guys ready?
No.
So I had a really bad speed bump habit, but I'm getting over it slowly. Come on, that was pretty good. Let's hear it from the dads.
So hey, while we're waiting, I'll jump in and just ad lib. So when I was visiting my friends from Farm Bureau, Farm Bureau is all about John Deere tractors, and if you remember my picture, it was red, so we talked about that too, Ray, if you remember.
Yeah, we did.
But I gave them a couple interesting fun facts about what you can and cannot put in a Corvette that's farm related. You can, in fact, put 5 gallons of hydraulic fluid in the frunk. It does fit. So I think that's going to be on our next brochure. Instead of how many golf bags can you get in the back, you can get 5 gallons of hydraulic fluid in the front. Amen. Brian says yes.
All right. All right, who knows the next dad joke?
How many bushels of corn can you get in the trunk?
How many bushels of corn can you get in the trunk? That sounds like something you have to answer.
So you can get about 48 ears in the frunk, because that's where I put them, because you don't have to have a bag. You can just put them all in there.
So as we were preparing for this, right, we actually did dry run all this, and it worked great, and I'm sure we'll figure it out here in a second. But one of our panelists, who we won't name, Courtney, suggested that maybe for events like this, a little bit of wine would go a long way. This might be one of those moments. We'll see. Yeah, maybe.
How many Corvettes a day does DGA put out?
Yeah, you know what? We can, that's probably a good thing to start doing. Thank you for the idea. This is another great example of customer feedback at work. If we could get somebody to run through the audience with questions, we can actually start taking some questions right now while we're sorting out the audio. And the question was, hey, how many Corvettes a day are you producing right now? We're producing about 180 Corvettes a day right now. And what I would highlight about what our production has been this year is, first of all, we have produced far more Z06s year to date than we ever have before. So those of you that have been waiting patiently in line, we are working hard to get those cars to you. And same thing with the E-Ray as well. We've produced, you know, obviously it's the first production year, but we've been ramping up, and we've produced far more E-Rays than we have obviously ever as well, because it's the first year that we're in production. But we're really proud of the Z06 numbers. Like, we're reaching daily and weekly and monthly numbers for the Z06 that some thought weren't even going to be possible. But thanks to our supply base, thanks to the great team at Bowling Green Assembly, we've been cranking them out. What other questions do we have? All right, Gary up front. And again, if Jenny or somebody that's in the room could grab a microphone, or Ben's got one. Gary's got a question up front. Ben, if you want to come up and give Gary the mic, and we can hear the question, and we'll do this pivot.
Well, I was just wondering why you scaled back from 14 colors to 10, because
So,
you
Ricky
obviously
Croghan,
had the
where do I start?
capability. And second of all, what's holding up Sebring release? It was a previous color, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, so when we launch new paint colors, right, we always phase them in, and so we will phase in Sebring as well. It's not too unusual what's happening in that space. And then you will see some variation in what we build by model by day. Really to balance the factory, to balance the supply base. There's lots of reasons that go into that, but trust me, we're pushing for every car that we can every day to build it correctly. But there'll be some variation up and down from day to day or week to week. A lot of that's by design. Another question in the far back, a couple back there.
We're ready to go also.
All right, we'll take the 2 more questions that were raised, and then we'll be ready to go. Yep, we've got the lady in the red, we're coming with a mic, and then there's a gentleman in a white t-shirt that we'll also take questions from at the moment. Hang on just a second, we'll get to you. We're gonna get you a mic.
I was just going to suggest about the corn, if you put it in the netting on the C8, you'll have it cooked by the time you get home.
Hey, that was a great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I didn't know we were sharing recipes, but okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
I ordered a C8 that was produced on September 22nd. I think it was car number 662. And it sat in what we might call Corvette purgatory for about 2 months. There was no communication on that. Can you give us an idea of what maybe that was?
So I will tell you that through the fall, last fall, and all of our blogger friends were on me like crazy about this, thank you much. we made a decision where there were moments that we were actually shy parts, and we were typically shy easy parts to install subsequently. And so we had a choice to make, right? We could either stop the factory and nobody gets cars and everybody waits, or we could produce some cars and then catch up those parts once they became available. And we felt that the right decision for the vast majority of customers was to produce the cars, catch up the part once it became available, and ship it to you. So that's one of the reasons why last model year, for example, was a record model year for Bowling Green, because we were able to make some decisions like that and still produce fantastic vehicles, just catching up the parts when they were available instead of having to produce the whole car once the part became available. And that's what happened for the cars that were really held up and had kind of a weird delay in there at the end of last year. But at the end of the day, we're not going to ship a car that's not complete, not the way you want it. And we felt, with lots of focus on the customer, that it was the best decision at that time. So I hope you understand that. All right, I got a thumbs up from him. So your car must have turned out great. The wait was worth it. Yeah, the wait was worth it. Can't find anything wrong. Yeah, there you go. Brian Lee from Operations.
Good job, Brian.
Way to go, team. All right, Rachel, you ready?
So Ricky Croghan, where do I start? Ricky is both passionate about his cows and his Corvettes. So if there's anything in similarity between those two, Ricky is going to be an expert in both.
The word that comes to mind when I think of Ricky is motivation. He's so extremely motivated to do well. He has this desire and this passion to do well in everything he does, and that translates to his people, to the hourly folks and the salary folks. He's so giving of himself. He does a really good job motivating his entire team.
So when I think about Ricky, the first word that comes to mind is passionate. He's really passionate about being great.
Ricky has so much manufacturing experience, and he brings a lot to the table, and he's so willing to share that with every new employee that comes in, and I really appreciate that of him.
One of the things that I really enjoy about Ricky is we'll be talking about a problem, an issue, talking about a solution, and the words that always come out of Ricky's mouth is, "I got it." Knowing that he's confident in the solution and he takes ownership. That's really refreshing to have as a counterpart, knowing he's part of a successful team and really helping us strive to be better every day.
Oh my God. So Ricky never complains. The workload in GA is continuous and it's unforgiving at every single level, and Ricky never complains.
Ricky never backs down. Ricky is, as I said, passionate, and when he sets his mind to something, he's going to tackle it 100%. And Ricky will never let in, never relent, never give in.
And he has this can-do, will-do attitude, and that's what I appreciate about him, because all of us, we have to get up every day and keep coming in and fighting the fight and trying to get better and do better things. And it is easy to do that when you work with people who have a can-do, will-do attitude.
Ricky is full of fire. No matter what situation we're in, Ricky is both business and fun at the exact same time. There's always a joke that comes with the hard work we do, and Ricky makes sure that not only do we grind through the day-to-day, but there's also some laughing involved.
So that's a
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah. So that's a sense, and now maybe my mic needs help. So that one of these mics has got to work. We'll go with this one. So that's a sense of what Ricky thinks of, how he introduced himself and his coworkers. And let me tell you that when I met Ricky, he had tons of experience, right? He had been to stamping, he had been to body, and he was working in paint at Bowling Green Assembly. And what I saw was a fantastic leader that certainly tackles the tough projects, as was mentioned. But as he was doing that, he was generating fun around him. He was having fun, and my goodness, was he developing the talent around him. Just what we would expect a leader to do in the Corvette plant. And so we challenged him and we said, hey, Ricky, let's take your show to another shop. Then you'll know the whole process from stem to stern. Let's go to General Assembly. And General Assembly is a beast. There's very few industries in the world where you get measured every single minute. And when you're in the Corvette plant, you get measured every single minute. We know our safety stats. We know our quality stats. We know our throughput stats. For Pete's sake, you all know that too, because you're paying attention, right? We get measured every minute. And to take that on, to take on that work, to make it fun for the people around you, it takes a leader like Ricky. So Ricky, thank you for what you do. All right, and next up we have Lynn Herron, our Human Resources and Labor Relations Director.
I had no idea I was going to have to follow that act, okay? No idea. Okay, thank you for the introduction, Ray. Next slide. I'm going to start off with some fun facts about myself. At the very top, you see the Corvette generations. I have had the privilege of seeing the C4, the C5, the C6, the C7, and I hope to end my career seeing the C8 roll off the assembly line. I started my career in 1995 as a WKU intern, and in 1998 I was hired full-time in the quality department where I served as several roles like group leader, ISO lead, and I was very, very happy in 2012 when I got the opportunity to go to the HRLR department where I've been ever since. Now, we talked a little bit, everybody pretty much knows what human resources does in organizations, but my different aspect of my job is the labor relations part of it. And the big goal that I have is to create and maintain relationships between management and the union, and to make sure we're following all the national and local agreement language. A fun fact about me is that I get to drive a Corvette every day to work. Very, very privileged. And the biggest fun fact about me is over to the right, the article, Merger Proposal Well Received. That is a picture of me doing the last tour on December 22nd, 1995. And I happened to talk my boyfriend into coming on the tour. He had never been to the plant. And at the very end, he's very shy, very introverted. He walked around and grabbed the mic out of my hand. And I was like, what is he doing? And he said, Lynn, I have 2 questions for you today. One's hypothetical, and one's the question I really want to ask you today. He said, what if someone was to buy you any Corvette out there on the line, any color or option that you would want, or what if someone would marry you and take care of you for the rest of your life? Now, before I could answer, the gentleman in the top picture in the center said, take the car.
Like, is that gentleman here today? I mean, it's possible.
I said yes, and this September 7th, I will be married to my former boyfriend for 28 years. Thank you. So the human resource part of my job, I work with the organization that creates the DE&I, our diversity, equity, and inclusion messages. I'm big on all of those. You know, for diversity, for example, something very unique at Bowling Green. 30% of the manufacturing and salaried people at that plant are women. Thank you. And the other thing we do at General Motors is we have these ERG, Employee Resource Groups, and it's for communities to get together and help change things at GM and make it better. For one example, GM Able, it's for the disability people in General Motors, for them to discuss and help us make GM plants and operations better. There's G-Man, General Motors African American Network, and Courtney's going to talk a little bit about that one. But the one that's near and dear to me happens to be our Veterans ERG. You heard Ricky is a Navy veteran. My father was a disabled Korean War veteran. My sister was in the Navy. My brother was in the Army. I'd like to ask, do we have any active military or veterans in the audience right now? Raise your hand. Can we give everyone a round of applause for what they have done for our country? Thank you. So when you come, if you haven't been on a tour yet, or if you have, I hope you notice that we're remodeling our Veterans Wall by the tour area, and hopefully before the end of the year, we'll have a little plaque with every veteran in the plant on that wall. So in summary, I'd like to say that I want to make a big difference. I want to create an environment at our Bowling Green Assembly Plant where people want to come to work, do their very best. And if I can do that, not only are our employees winning, all of you, our customers, are winning as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. And Lynn, we have a little surprise for you as well. Like, I wonder what people have to say about HR.
Lynn is full of integrity. I have never seen a time where she would bend the rules or look the other way. She makes sure that we are doing what we're supposed to and living by the rules of the organization, and I think we're all better for it.
She's fun, she's energetic, she's genuine, she's kind, she's thoughtful. She really thinks through what are the impacts for our employees, as well as what are the impacts for the Corvette brand and the business itself. So I think that, overarchingly, I think that Lynn is thoughtful, and all that is, founded well on a very loving and genuine, kind personality.
Lynn always makes time for me. She has a very busy job, and sometimes she can't help me right on the spot, but she always finds a time for me to come down, sit and speak with her and deal with both personal or professional issues that helps me get through the day.
Lynn is always a team player. Lynn is always willing to contribute. She's always willing to get along and go along, but she's also equally always, if I can say it that way, willing to challenge the status quo, to make us better, to make sure that we're putting the best Corvettes that we can on the road for our enthusiasts all across the world. So I would just say that Lynn is she's a pretty awesome person.
Lynn never fails to make me smile. When we bump into each other or have a few minutes to talk, we can always, even during a bad day, make each other have a little grin and make the day a little better.
And this may be a word that we don't typically use to describe a person, but I would say that Lynn is full of life. When you interact with Lynn, she just makes you smile because she's full of joy, she's full of happiness, she's full of generosity, she's full of care, she's full of strategy, she's full of all the things that you would want in a great leader to lead the only plant in the world that makes the best sports muscle car in the world, the Corvette.
One of the best memories I have of Lynn, I went through a difficult personal situation many years ago, and I needed someone to talk to that I knew could hold my confidence and understand what I was going through. Lynn and I became really close during that time because she made sure I had some place to go vent and deal and talk to get through that problem, and I really appreciate her for it.
So, Lynn, I want to thank you for bringing your whole self to work, for bringing your personality, for bringing your energy, for bringing the credibility that you have as an HRLR professional, as well as a business professional to the plant each and every day. I want to thank you for speaking truth to influential people, influential situations, and I want to thank you for just continuing each and every day for making GM Bowling Green your employer of choice.
Wow. Absolutely very true words, and I can tell you that from my perspective, Lynn lives and breathes the things that were talked about in that video. For example, recently we had a couple employees from the plant who were getting honored at a very important ceremony, and when we said, hey, let's go support them, Lynn didn't even check her calendar. She's like, I'm in, I want to do it, let's go, right? She dove right into the situation. She's there to support our employees. As a plant leader, she is one of the best trusted colleagues I could have. And you can probably imagine that within the Corvette plant, we have our secrets, and certainly within personnel, maybe there's even more secrets. And so to have someone like Lynn at the helm of that, that's really watching out for everybody's best interest along the way, we are very blessed to have her on the team. So thank you, Lynn. Let's give her another round of applause. All right, and next up we have Laura Escobar. Laura is our paint launch manager. Laura?
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Laura Escobar, and I am the paint launch manager in our Bowling Green Assembly paint shop. So a little bit about myself is I come from a family of 6. I have 2 brothers, I have a sister, and of course my parents. And then in the picture you can see that's a family photo. That was during my sister's quinceañera, so I travel to Texas often because that's where they're located. So whenever I travel, I try to spend as much time as I can with them. And then in the picture is also my boyfriend Edgar. I met him in Bowling Green, so I've been with him for 2 years now. And then I have 2 dogs who I love very much. One of them is named Cheeto, so after my favorite chips, Hot Cheetos, and then the other one is named Dorito. So they're both They're both males, so it's always chaotic around the house. And then Edgar and I love traveling, so recently last summer we went to Mexico City, so we spent 2 weeks in there, and that's a picture of the pyramids. It was a really fun experience. And then also something I'm very passionate about is empowering women in STEM. I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree in December of 2020. So I like to inspire younger generations since I didn't have an engineering model growing up. So what I do at work, I lead the paint shop readiness. Basically what I do is I launch new colors and models and I get the shop ready for what's upcoming, right? I build the future, essentially, that's what it is. And something I quote I live by is that success doesn't just find you, you have to go out and get it. So I try to get in, if I have an opportunity to be something, and if there's a new learning experience, I try to get that. And from those learning experiences, I've become the person that I am today. Next slide. So my responsibilities as a paint launch manager consist of, I like to divide them into 3 categories. So basically, like I said, I build the future. One of them is process engineering. So I used to be a process engineer. Like I said, I graduated in December of 2020, joined GM in April of 21. So I've been with GM roughly about 3 years. And when I became a process engineer, I was able to work with the robots. So I was able to adjust angles and control the fluid flow of the robots, the way they dispense our paint, right? Also, with the process engineer role, I learned about the technical aspects of paint. So something that I do now as a launch manager is I conduct color workability. So what this means is that we conduct testing for the paint that's coming up. And during these sessions, we have to ensure that every color, we're able to paint it in our paint shop. So these new colors go through testing, and we have to make sure that every car that we paint in the paint shop has the best quality that it can have. Also, we have very exciting colors, such as Riptide, which is like a vibrant blue that has some flake in it. So with this, there's different type of flakes. You have metal flakes, you have mica, and you also have glass flakes, which give paint a different appearance. So with this, you're able to see different color and schemes just depending on the type of flake it has. Another part that I categorize my job in is organization and project management. Because we're always building the future, I have to be very organized and keep track of everything that I'm working on. Because everything has to be perfect for the future, and everything has to be the best quality. So something else that I do within GM is I'm part of the GM Latino Network. So basically, I help recruit future talent, future engineers. I attend conferences and I attend universities and help develop students in their professional development. My favorite thing about working at BGA is just working with enthusiastic people, and we always try to get the best quality and deliver the best product for everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Laura, and you've probably caught the trend where we have what some other folks think about you as well. Let's hear what they say.
The word that comes to mind when I think of Laura is persistent. She will not let anything get in the way of finishing whatever project that she's working on. I can remember a few projects in the Top Coat booths where she ran into many obstacles and tried a bunch of different methods of getting the job done, and was ultimately much more successful than anyone could have anticipated because she tried so many different ways of doing the job that what some people might say there's only one way of doing it, she found 3 different ways of doing it and picked the best one from there.
She is fearless. Which is not what you might first think, you know, when your first impression of her, but she totally is. She'll like take on anything or anybody. It doesn't really, you would think she would have a lot of fear, but she does not, which is kind of cool.
Laura never fails to brighten a room. Our work is pretty serious, and a lot of our breaks that we are supposed to be taking are maybe filled with technical questions or bouncing ideas off of each other, and sometimes we just need a break from that. So she might come in with a joke or a way to tone down the mood a little bit from work and get everyone into a bit of a more of a happy mood than just thinking about the next robot problem.
Laura is full of drive and ambition. She jumps into new projects and really excels when sometimes other people have sort of taken a lot longer on things or not had that ambition to it, right? Which has really enabled her to get things done that sometimes other people haven't. So in one of her projects, it ended up being a GM trade secret, which I won't go into the details of it. But other people had tried to do that same type of thing and failed. So she just kept at it and persevered, got it done.
One of the best memories I have with Laura is actually not a single memory, but the entire time that she was training me when I first joined General Motors. We spent a lot of time and a lot of long hours working on robot projects or repairs, a lot of different problems that I learned from, and I feel as if I'm a much better process engineer for those memories that I have, whether that would be trying to fix a valve that's not working at 3 o'clock in the morning or trying to spray the rear fascia in a little bit of a different way so it looks a little bit better. All of those projects have made me a much more better process engineer.
What I would want to thank Laura for is really making my job easier. When you have good people that you're working with, it really it makes it easier for me to do my job. It makes it easier for everybody else to do their jobs. And we can count on Laura. Our whole team can, and so that makes it easier for all of us. So that's what I would thank her for.
All right. So that's certainly Laura, and she's very innovative, and the trade secret was mentioned, and that's a real thing, right? Real intellectual property that's protected by General Motors, and it's such an important cost and quality improvement. Maybe somebody in this room is interested in cost and quality as well. That Laura did for the paint shop, that it even caught the attention of Mary Barra, our CEO, right? It is a big deal. It's a fantastic innovation from Laura. She is so talented that when other paint shops around General Motors have needed help, guess who goes on the road and helps them? She goes and helps much more senior people make their paint shop even better because, of course, the Corvette paint shop leads the way. So, Laura, thank you so much for what you do and what you bring to Bowling Green Assembly as a team. All right, next up we have Courtney Gray, a material flow coordinator.
Hi, everyone. So, my title is Material Flow Coordinator, and I am under the Global Supply Chain umbrella. So, pretty much what I do is I audit our inventory, and I count parts every day, and I make sure we keep this plant running. We make sure our inventory is accurate, and we fix any discrepancies that we might have. So, some fun facts about me. Born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I actually started my career on this day 11 years ago in Lockport, New York at our General Motors Lockport Components plant.
Happy work-iversary.
Thank you. And another fun fact is 5 years ago this week, I actually moved here to Bowling Green, and I just remember Bash happening, and me and my parents were just in awe at all the Corvettes we've seen around town. So it's just kind of cool to be on stage today. So some personal things, I enjoy hiking, spending time with my family. I try to travel home as often as I can. I have a dog. I love traveling and helping others. I recently started a powerlifting journey. I am obviously a proud member of Bill's Mafia. I'm an active advocate for mental health at my church, and then I am just passionate about giving back and supporting the community. So back to my job. How would I describe my job? It's unpredictable. Just imagine hearing about a snowstorm northeast or even a hurricane down south, the borders being shut down, COVID. All of those factors affect my job daily. You wouldn't think it, but it does. So we work hard every day to make sure we have the parts to build every single one of our customers' cars. So no parts, no cars, no delivery. We try to make sure we have them. Some contributions to the company. I recently was able to work on a project to kind of assist in GM's EV future. And G-Man, which is one of our ERGs. It stands for General Motors African Ancestry Network. And we like to give back to the community. We like to network and also secure some future workers for GM. And then recently this year, we kind of started a thing. This is our second year doing this, Ring Road Walk, where we raise money for the United Negro College Fund. And this year was especially special because we were able to partner with the CACW. So some things I enjoy about my job, I am never bored. Sometimes I'm stressed, but I am never bored. It's always a challenge. We're always finding new ways to be more efficient. And every day I'm contributing to the ultimate happiness of you guys, the customers' satisfaction. And then one of my favorite moments, I was able to set up a tour with 2 GM Brazilian employees. They had a lifelong dream to tour the Corvette plant as well as the museum, and I was able to make that happen for them. Thank you.
Very nice. All right, let's hear what Courtney's coworkers have to say about her.
Courtney's super compassionate, and she is always challenging herself to think outside of the box, work outside of the box, put herself in difficult situations so she can learn and develop.
She's always high energy when she walks in the plant. She's got a good smile. It'll brighten the room, things like that. You never have to get on to Courtney about anything. She's always up and ready to go. She's always willing to help, go the extra mile.
The word that comes to mind when I think of Courtney is humble. She is very shy and she's an introvert, but that also comes with her being extremely humble. Anytime you give her any feedback about her achievements or awards, she is so humble and just is so honored.
The word that comes to mind when I think of Courtney is happy. She always greets you with a smile, no matter what the situation is, and that alone just kind of brings energy to the room and to the group.
Courtney always finds a way to help others. If she is super bombarded with responsibilities and someone else needs help, she will always put her work on hold and help someone who is in need of help.
Courtney always finds a way to get things done. When I was a materials supervisor, Courtney would always support me and be there for me, make sure I had the proper amount of material. Her hard work and determination just made my job a lot easier, and I wish I had Courtney on every team in this plant.
She cares about every person she works with. Since she's come from the floor, she's built so many long-lasting relationships with the team members out there. And when there are certain occurrences that happen in the plant, she always goes and makes personal contact with people and helps them get through their own trials. I say this because she is very private, but there are some things that she has experience with that she always, if she knows that she can help a person like mentally and emotionally, she will go to them and one-on-one talk to them and help them through their situation. And she takes that time and she takes that effort, and it makes me very proud.
I want to thank you, Courtney, for the work that you've done with the United Negro College Fund. The time that you put in doesn't go unnoticed, and your work is definitely helping give several students that possibly would not have the opportunity to go to college. So that's very big for me. So I just want to say thank you for that.
All right. And let's give Courtney an extra round of applause, so loud that her parents that are on the phone streaming from the front can hear as well. That's awesome. Nicely done. And I have to tell you that, certainly, and I think it came through in some of the comments, Courtney is a very happy person, right? You can count on Courtney for that smile. But she is also humble because she just passed by, I went and I helped EV and just kind of moved on. She didn't just go help EV, right? And again, when GM gets in trouble, sometimes Corvette gets called. And we had an EV supplier that was in trouble. And this wasn't just like, hey, go spend an hour with them and coach them up a little bit. This was move to Ohio for 6 months and actually help them establish their business in a logical way such that GM could continue to launch EVs. And Courtney is the one that went and did that. Courtney's the one that volunteered for that. And Courtney was very successful at that. And that's what I think of when I think of Courtney, is I think of that volunteerism, the spirit to go take on something new and do it joyfully and then be successful. So thank you, Courtney. All right, next up is Mr. Brian Lee, Quality Ops Manager.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about the video at the end.
Well, I've seen it and you should be.
A little nervous about this. All right, Quality Operations Manager, you might be wondering what that means. So inside the plant, the quality department has 3 functional groups. There's the quality assurance folks. That's the compliance, regulation, make sure we're all following the right rules. You have the quality engineering team that's working on part quality, supplier quality, and they work with the engineering team up north. And then there's my team, the quality ops team. We're basically the boots on the ground out on the manufacturing floor. So all the hourly team members that are part of quality are part of my team. We are your voice in the plant. We are the ones holding the car to the standards that you demand. So we have quality inspection stations throughout the facility. We do all the testing, alignment, DVT, squig and rattle, water, etc. Fun facts about me: I'm married for 21 years to my high school sweetheart, Sarah. We've been together since we were 14 years old, pretty much our entire adult life. And you heard that right, it's Sarah Lee, like the baker, so you're gonna start the little jingle in your head. And I would highly recommend, if you see her this weekend, you do not do that to her, because she's heard that her whole life, and she is not fond of it at all. We have 2 children, Braylon and Addison. Braylon graduated last year and started working at GM 1 week later as an hourly team member in the paint shop. And then Addison is a senior in high school talking about college every day. If you can't tell by the accent, born and raised in Kentucky. Raised about an hour and a half north of here, came down here to Western and never looked back. I own a 170-acre cattle farm on the side, so me and Ricky do a lot of talking about cattle. I've been working at the plant for 25 years. Got hired in at 19 years old as an intern, so pretty much my entire adult life has been inside the 4 walls of that facility. I was hired full-time as a production group leader for the Cadillac XLR. Y'all remember that car? Anybody remember that car? That's the reason I got hired. Then I held various production quality roles through the C5 and C6. I traveled and was one of the launch managers for the C7, so I've spent a little time in Michigan. I was also responsible for moving the Performance Build Center from Wixom, Michigan to Bowling Green. So I installed it inside the facility, and I ran the Performance Build Center for the last 10 years. But last year, around this time actually, last July, I got the quality operations job. How I contribute to the success of the plant, kind of like Ricky mentioned earlier, my team works hard to put the customer first every car, every day. Never gets old. You know, we try to make sure they're all ready to roll. I'm a very competitive person. I'm sure that's going to be on the video in a minute. I like to win at everything that I do, and I like to motivate folks to perform at a high level. So I try to come up with recognitions and programs to get employees engaged and performing at their best. In my position, I get to work with everybody, both, all the departments in the facility, all the folks up north. I can really talk to everybody about anything. And then I'm also the link to the plant for a lot of other folks. I'm the main contact for the museum, so if you take museum delivery, I'm the guy they're talking to. Shipping, warranty, things I need to bring back into our system to start looking for, I'm the contact for all of those as well. Favorite thing about the job, for me, it's always been about the car. Always been about the car. We're not building minivans or economy cars, we're building a freaking Corvette. And for me, and I know for these folks up here, it never gets old, seeing a car coming off that line. We know what we're building. We love seeing everybody come to town, trying to remember what model that was, what year we built it, and then learning where you're all from. It's really what it's all about. Very proud to say, work for Corvette.
Very, very nice. But Brian, that moment has come, the moment of reckoning. I wonder what your coworkers have to say about you.
So the first word that comes to mind when I think of Brian Lee is probably germaphobe, because he is probably one of the biggest germaphobes I know. But outside of that, of his personality, is loyalty. He is so loyal. He's loyal to me, to the department, to the plant, to the customer.
The first word that comes to mind when I think of Brian is competitive. He is a sports enthusiast, he's a coach, and he brings that into the workplace where he consistently coaches people to be better, he expects greatness, and he really drives the business to perform.
He doesn't step away from a challenge. And he doesn't step away from conflict, which is huge in being on the floor in an operations role. He's one of the best I've seen interact with our UAW partners and working things out constructively, and he doesn't back down from that. He has a really great skill set in doing that.
Brian never misses a moment to recognize a team. There was many cool instances of Brian's creativity that brought pride to the workforce. One of them was Brian created the employee award ceremony that the Performance Build Center does, and it's become an iconic year after year event that we hold, that we build trophies and recognize a lot of the membership. And Brian created and fostered that environment to where he truly values recognizing people.
Brian he's dependable. So anytime I've worked with him, when we worked side by side as group leaders, he was dependable. So he's someone that I know if I say, hey, I need this, it's done. I don't follow back up with him. I don't check on him. It's done. I don't have to. So, that's a rare quality that people have, seems like these days sometimes. But with Brian, I know, hands down, there's no follow-up. It's done.
Brian is full of energy.
So much energy. So much energy. He wants everything done now, like right now. And that's just the way Brian Lee is. And that's great because we need somebody help pushing the organization.
I haven't really met anyone that comes to work every day that's as on task and willing to get up and going as he is. He's usually one of the first people here and one of the last people to leave. When I come in, usually I see his car there already, and when I'm leaving, his car is still there. He brings a tenacity and a passion to work every day when he comes, and attacks everything with a tenacity that only Brian can bring that energy to.
Thank you, Brian, for so your job, as your job as the ops manager, you make my life 1,000 times easier. You're helping the customer. You're helping the plant. Thank you for being you. We all have different areas that we're good at. We all have different areas that, we need to improve, and everybody's got that. But hands down, you're the right pick for this job. You do amazing work. You're accountable, dependable, and I couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, Brian, for creating an environment that values people, that really drives people to be successful. You hold a high standard that really drives people to want to work for you, and they genuinely, I feel like, want to do good under your leadership.
All right, well, I guess the first thing is, Brian, you know yourself because you predicted some of what was said there. But I have to tell you that, those traits that were mentioned in the video certainly come through in Brian every moment of every day. When you talk about dependable, when you talk about driven, when you talk about competitive. And you can imagine how that helps keep Corvette at the top of all of the quality surveys. How it keeps us building your dream, how he represents you in the plant as the voice of the customer. Those skills are used every day. But we also like to have some fun at the Corvette Factory. And maybe some of you have heard that when we do display cars out front, there's most often a reason for the colors. And Brian's team is part of that, right? They help stage the display and make sure the cars are brilliant that are up there. And maybe some of you know that I am a fan of the national champion Michigan Wolverine football team. Woo! Go Blue, right? So, last football season, as we got to the big game with that team that just keeps losing, we used to think they were our rivals, or when we got to the national championship, or like this week, there's maize and blue cars out front. Now, Brian is not a University of Michigan fan.
Wrong blue.
Yeah, but Brian knows how to read the org chart, right? So the cars go out there. But I have to tell you that as we got to March of last year, and maybe Michigan's basketball team wasn't doing that good, and UK looked promising, Brian's like, Ray, can we? And I'm like, okay, we can go with UK, blue and white. We can put the cars out front. It didn't work.
It worked in a different way.
Yeah, maybe. But so we like to have fun with all of that, right? And we like to have fun at work, and that drive not only helps the car be brilliant, but it helps the outcome be brilliant. And my hope for what you've seen so far in this presentation today is that you get an understanding that it's not just a bunch of robots and technology that make Corvettes brilliant. It's a bunch of brilliant people that make Corvettes brilliant. That's what happens. And the 5 folks that are up here, it is my pleasure to be a small part of the team that they're really driving every day to build the car that you love. And we're going to get to questions and answers in a second. But before we do that, I'm going to go off script and freak out people in the back of the room, because I have one more person that I want to bring up on stage. Because this award is just in. I have here the 2024 Best Plant Film Production Award. It's an Oscar for plant films. So Rachel Bagshaw, if you could please join me up on stage. If you like seeing the films like we showed today, if you like seeing the time lapse of the E-Ray get built, if you like seeing all the different films that come out of the factory, if you like it when the Corvette team participates in events, Rachel Bagshaw is the person that's behind it, all right? So let's give Rachel a round of applause. Come on up. We're going to move over here a little bit. Come on over here. So I want to present to you, as a surprise that I will pay for later, I'm sure, the Oscar for the 2024 Best Plant Film Production. But I also want to thank Rachel, because oftentimes when we're out and about in public, and my job is quite unique as a plant director, because certainly we have to run the factory, and thankfully we have a great team that does that. But I end up doing a lot of public events like this, and it probably doesn't look like that as I stand up here on the stage, because I'm socially awkward, and a little bit of an engineer shows through or whatever. But the person who has me go to the right spots, has me thinking the right thoughts, has me saying the things so they come across the way that I want them to, that's Rachel Bagshaw, right? She arranges all of that. And I have to tell you that from my perspective, we have moments, and we'll be in a meeting and laptops are typing away and screens are up, and I know I need to stop what I'm doing and focus intently when Rachel lowers her laptop screen and she says to me, "Can I give you some feedback right now, Ray?" When I hear those moments, I know that I'm about to learn something, right? And it's something that I need to learn, and it's presented in a gracious, joyful way, and it makes the whole team better. It makes me better as a leader. It makes these events better. It adds a lot of sparkle. So thank you very much, Rachel Bagshaw, for doing this. I really appreciate it. And really, the magic of Corvette is the people of Corvette. And the people of Corvette are certainly the folks in the factory, but it's also you, right? These events, your interaction, when you're in plant tour, when we're out and about with you, I can't describe to you how much energy you give us that we then carry back into the plant to put into the next cars that we build. So I also want to thank you a whole bunch. Give yourselves a round of applause. And we do have a few minutes left, so we can take some questions. Who's going to break the ice and ask one? Oh, right here in the front. Go ahead. Here's one.
Thank you. Okay, I have actually 3 questions. The first 2 are real short. And this is for Ricky and Brian. Since you guys apparently like Corvettes and cows, and at least one of you has a Corvette. Do you have one too, Brian? Okay, you both have vets. You both are into ranching. Do you have one of those cow horns on your Corvette that goes, "Arr"?
It's coming in 2026.
As an RPO, right?
It's an option available only in Texas.
Okay, now this question is for Courtney. How much sleep have you lost with very shortage of carbon aerodynamic parts on C8s? Get one more.
I've lost track.
All right, so before you get to your third, we're going to let somebody else have a question here
Okay.
too, but we'll come back to you if we have time. All right, there's a question over this direction, Ben. And if we could get one more, or do we have two working mics now? Great. All right. Here we go.
My wife and I both own a 2019 C7. Great car, great handling, once you get know how to move the nose around the corners. But the problem that we had was we got a navigation system, and we went to go get an upgrade, and there's no upgrade.
Well, there is. It's called a C8.
Well,
all right. So get the C8 and it's an
if you
upgrade. And
want-
believe me, I love C7s, no doubt about it. And everybody's got their favorite, but the upgrade's the C8. Enjoy. All right, next question over here. There's a lady a couple rows back.
I have the microphone here.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, I didn't see that.
So my question is, what happened with the plant tours during this Caravan that you couldn't get into the plant tour?
So with working in cooperation with the museum, we actually offered tours longer during the day and more tours than any other week we have ever done. And so it's max capacity, but as it turns out, there's a lot of you in town and it's very much in high demand. So it did end up being what I think the museum rightly nicknamed a bit of a Taylor Swift moment, where once the tickets went on sale, they sold very quickly. And so I apologize for folks that couldn't come on tour because there's only so many minutes in a day, so many opportunities to do it. What I look forward to is the moments where we can have tours back open again more consistently once we're done doing what we need to focus on in between tour windows. So bear with us and we'll get back to it because we love it. Right up here. And yeah, go ahead.
I would like to know what each of your first cars were that you learned to drive on.
All right, you want to start, Ricky? How'd you learn to drive?
Yeah, you said car. So yeah, it would have been a 1970 Ford 3 on the column.
1980 blue Chevy Citation 4-door.
I drove a Ford 500 when I was in high school.
Chevy Cobalt was my first car.
An 85 C10 that I still have.
Wow, nice. Well, that's pretty good because I also had a Vette as my first car, but it was a Chevette.
Not that good.
All right, next question.
Ray, I think we have time for one more question.
All right, thanks, Ben.
From the time that you decide to start a manufacture to it rolls, how long does it take to roll it out the door?
So from the time we start to manufacture a new model is what you're asking?
Any given car, I mean, because how long does it take to manufacture a single car?
So you're asking launch or just build time in the plant?
I'm sorry?
Are you asking to launch a vehicle or build time in the factory?
No, in the factory.
It's just short of 2 days.
No.
In the from when we load the first part to when it comes offline? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just short of 2 days.
Wow.
What's that? Yeah, thank you, Courtney, for sure. All right, well, that was the last question that we have time for. We will be around for a little bit later, so a little bit after, so if you have questions, you can talk to us individually. Again, I want to thank you. Hopefully you understand that building the Corvette takes brilliant people. It takes brilliant customers. I think we have a brilliant partnership. Let's keep it going. Thank you so much.